Hi, welcome to the Forest of Arden. My name is Chris Ryan. Today's video, how to hit the driver straight. So this is certainly going to be, I would imagine, one of the most searched topics on YouTube. It's the one club that gives golfers the most difficulty, and especially when it comes to direction. It's really a good way to lose shots on the golf course, miss fairways, chip out. It's really going to put a lot of stress on the rest of your game. So if we can hit the driver straight, we can put it in the fairway more often, it's definitely going to lower the scores and it's going to be more enjoyable. Now, the bad news, it's not going to be a quick fix. It's very, very difficult to incorporate, I should say, all of the elements that you need to hit the driver straight. But we're going to break this down into three little areas. We're going to break it down to contact, club's path, and club face. And if you can start to manage those or start to have a little bit more awareness on how these are going to be influencing your golf swing, we can hopefully hit that driver straight. So, number one, contact. Contact has to be out the centre of the golf club if we're to consistently produce the same curve on the golf ball and hit those fairways. Very often when I see a golfer struggling with direction, it can be strike related. They can very often be hitting the golf ball from very much towards the heel or very much towards the toe. They're trying to fix golf swing issues. They're trying to look at paths and planes and all that kind of stuff when it's actually just contact. Now, what happens when we miss the middle is different with our driver compared to our irons. We have what we call gear effect because of the bulge and roll on the club face. It is vitally important that we get you to hit the middle of the golf club. Now, I've done videos on this before, but this stuff is absolutely brilliant. This is just foot spray. I carry this with me whenever I'm coaching, and I often use this when we're looking at driver. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put a little coating onto the club face. And it's just going to leave just a very, very simple powder on that golf club. What you're then going to do is hit a couple of shots. Now, I've only got one golf ball here, but I would advise you do this with, maybe 5 or 10 shots to see if there's any patterns. And it's going to very simply leave a golf ball mark on the club face where the ball was struck. It's a fantastic little exercise on its own, just to get some real good awareness of where that ball is coming off the club face. What I will generally get golfers to do is hit the shot and try and tell me where that felt like the contact was before they look. And it's really interesting to see kind of how their perception and actually how their reality are often different. So we're on the 12th hole here, the par 5. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my driver down here and see if we can get this somewhere near the middle. Okay, now that felt pretty good to me. I would guess that was a little heel side, and that will be about right. It's pretty much in the middle of the club, just slightly heel side. Now, how do I know that was heel side? Well, a little bit to do with my feels, but a little bit to do with how the ball flew through there. That had a little bit of left to right, and that's not my normal ball flight. So that would suggest to me that it was a slightly off-centre contact. So if I missed that fairway right, and I'd probably say that maybe just hung on to the right side, but if that was a little bit more towards the heel, that golf ball could have finished more out towards the right of the target. So contact is really our first starting point. We need to be able to get that ball coming from the middle of the golf club if we are to hit fairways. This exercise, as I say, on its own is just a great way for you to develop a golf swing which is going to create a contact which is more centered. If this was my contact point here, slightly heel side, what would I do to make that more centered? Well, I reckon that's probably 1/4 of an inch away from the centre. I certainly wouldn't look to stand further away or change my golf swing or anything like that, because that's probably going to move that contact point by more than 1/4 inch. I just want to use my skill as the golfer to try and hit that ball from the middle of the club, make slight adjustments, little micro moves, which may not feel that different, but would allow me to hit the middle of that golf club. Contact point has to be our number one thing. Once we've got a contact point, we can move on to our second part of how you can hit your driver straighter. So we're now talking about the path of the golf club. What is the path of the club? The path of the club is very simply the direction that the golf club head is moving in as you make contact with the golf ball. We have 3 options. The golf club path will be to the left, to the right, or about straight. If we're looking to hit straight shots, and when I say straight shots, I mean balls which start straight and stay straight, your club path has to be pretty much at your target. Now, for the majority of golfers that I see, this is unfortunately not the case. They often have club paths which are away from what we class as 0, which is straight, the most common one of those being to the left of the target. Now, as you can imagine, if you don't have a TrackMan or anything like that, it's very difficult for you to establish what your club path is. We're going to give you some very, very simple guidelines as to what you might want to look for in your golf swing, which is going to mean that your club path is about straight. I'm going to set myself up here looking to hit this straight down the middle of that fairway, and you can see I've given myself a target line on there. Now, provided my alignment is pretty good, my toe line should be parallel to my target line. And what I'm looking for in my golf swing is as I reach last parallel, so when the club reaches level with the ground, I'm looking for my golf club to be about parallel to those lines. That's my body line and my ball to target line. Now, as I say, we're talking about, it's not an exact science. Because I get this in line with my hands doesn't automatically mean my path is going to be close to zero, but it's going to be a pretty damn good starting point. The golfers who really struggle with the path, the ones that go to the left, you're going to find that the club head is a little bit more out this way. And those golfers who really struggle with the path being more to the right are going to have the club head more behind the hand. So if you look at my golf swing on sort of slow motion, when I reach this last parallel point, I tend to get the club head more behind my hands. My path tends to be more to the right of the target. The golfers who you see who slice the ball will very often have the club head outside the hands. As I say, it's not an exact science. I'm not suggesting that if you can get that right at last parallel, your path will be zero, but it's a great little starting point for us. So what would I get you to do? Well, very simply, we'd get you to get an idea of what that might feel like. So as I make my backswing and I start down, what would it feel like to let the club fall into this neutral position? Would that feel different in your arms? Would that feel different in your hands, in your wrists? How would that feel to you? Now, what I would really like you to do as you do this little exercise is feel like you're still using your body as you would in the golf swing. Now, for many of you, this will feel a slightly different position. It might feel, a little alien too. You might recognize this as being slightly odd. You might feel that you want to move the club more into this area here. So if we can get our club at last parallel to be in a rough sort of parallel to ball to target line position, that's going to ensure that our path is fairly close to zero. As I said, doesn't guarantee it, but it's going to give you a pretty good guide. So we've hopefully got a contact which is fairly close to the middle of the golf club. We've now got a club path which is fairly close to zero or pretty much at your target. The final piece in the jigsaw is to get the club face matching up with that path, and that's going to allow us to hit some pretty straight drives. Right, club face position. This is the last part of the puzzle. This is going to help you hit some straight drives. If we get the contact out the middle, we get the path pretty much straight, we can still miss fairways if our club face position is not good. Club face open, ball's probably going to start right. Club face closed, ball is probably going to start left. As we've got our path pretty straight, pretty close to zero, that's where we want the club face. Again, pretty close to zero. So we're going to look again at this last parallel position, and we're going to look at what we might want to look for in that club face. How would we want that club to be twisted in order for us to achieve a pretty good club face alignment down by the ball? Well, I would be looking for the leading edge of the golf club to be about vertical, maybe slightly turned in from vertical. Now, I'm going to generalize here, but most of the golfers that I see and watching this video are probably going to struggle with drives that go to the right-hand side. They would tend to deliver the golf club with the club face pointing a lot more skyward. We would be looking for a little bit more sort of out horizontally in front of me with the club face. That puts the leading edge about vertical. How do I change that? Well, I change that with my wrist conditions, whether that's lead wrist or whether that's trail wrist. That's up to you how you feel that. But we're looking for a club face which is pointing out horizontally away from me with a club face, leading edge about vertical. From here, provided we then deliver the golf club with the club shaft about vertical, that's going to be a very, very good way for you to get a club face which is, again, about neutral. Even if I achieve this good position on the way down here, I can still drag the handle forward and have the face open. I can still return the handle back with the club face closed. So we really need to make sure that we can control the face last parallel and then deliver the club with a vertical club shaft. If we can do those things, that's a great way for you to control the club face. The other thing you can do is actually just a bit of experimentation. Try and hit the ball to the right of your target. Try and hit the ball to your left of your target. Try and deliver the golf club with an open face. Try and deliver it with a closed face. There's two ways we can target this. We can look at technique, which we probably definitely want to do, but we can look at just developing your skill as the golfer in delivering the club face in a position that you want. Deliver it open, deliver it closed, deliver it square. Get used to what those different things feel like. And if you get used to what they feel like, you can pretty much, hopefully, predict what you're going to do out on the golf course. So how to hit the driver straight? Not an easy task, I'm afraid. It does come down to three main components for me. Getting the contact out in the middle of the golf club, getting your path about zero or straight, and then aligning the club face to that path, which again is about straight. If we can do that, we should hit the ball which goes dead straight down the middle of the fairway, and you'll probably find you pick up some distance as well, because your efficiency of contact is going to get better. You're going to get a little bit more ball speed, and if you can hit some more fairways with a little bit more distance, I would imagine that your scores are going to come tumbling down. Right, I've now got to do the difficult part and try and demonstrate what I've just said. So let's get my contact, let's get my path, let's match my face, see if I can hit this 12th fairway. Okay, that's pretty good. It's just drifting up the right-hand side, but I reckon that's probably going to catch the fairway. I might even blame the wind off the left for that little bit of tail off at the end. So, how to hit the driver straight. Three things that you can focus on in practice. If you can work on those things, it is difficult, but let's focus on them individually, put them together, and hopefully you'll hit some straighter drives. You might even hit them better than that one. Thank you very much for watching. Down below, there's a comments box, there's a like button, and there is also a link to subscribe to my channel. If you are not a subscriber, click that link, it'll take you to a subscription page. It is absolutely free. More videos coming each and every week, hopefully helping you play some better golf. Thank you for watching, and we shall see you again soon.